Okay. And if you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to use the chat box. And I'll try to make sure that I get to every single question. Let's see, how do one moment. There we go. Yeah, so there we go. So how to use your Maker Kit as a fundraising tool. It seems like some of us have used our Maker Kit before and some of us haven't. Every month we also host a how to stamp night. So it's a Maker 101, the Maker mindset, how to help people find their words. So that would be a great tool for you a workshop for you to attend next month. If you haven't used your Maker Kit and you want a few tips and how to help someone find their word. So we're going to go through fundraising ideas, different order forms, pricing, things to consider when you are pricing things out. I'll go over some stories that have been really successful in our Maker community. Any last questions? And then I have a special announcement for anybody who stays on till the end. So be sure to stick around. So why fundraise with the Maker Kit? All of you have a cause that has brought you here today, and so you'll probably know this already, but it just is such a powerful token of appreciation to someone. It's so long lasting and memorable, and it's a beautiful way to either raise awareness for your cause, have a conversation with someone, so you're building your community, and it's allowing you to create something even bigger than yourself. So you all know, because you're here tonight, so thank you for being here. The couple of ways that we've seen it done in the past is by order submission. And what I mean by this is more of like a local in-person sort of event. So we have a template of an order submission form that I'll show you in a little bit, where you can print it out. You can also adjust the pricing for what you're going to be selling. And then you print it all out, and then you can give it, if you are at a school or at an event, you can set up your table and then have these papers out so that people can write down their order, and then they'll give it to you, and you'll keep track of it. So then whenever they come back, you'll be able to, if it's one of those busy events where people are coming to you and then they're leaving and they're not waiting, or if your booth is so popular that you end up getting a line, people can sort of put in their word first and then come back, and it gives you a little bit more breathing room. And then you can advertise. So in order to fundraise, we all ask you to become a certified maker. It's a free thing. It just makes sure that you're practicing stamping and that there's a certain quality to it. So it's 10 minutes. You take a picture of a token that you've stamped, and then you get your certification. And that we require that for anything that has an exchange of money, just so that there's like a level of quality that we're breaking into, versus like a gift or practice or anything like that. We don't allow online selling, so like no Etsy stores or anything like that, but you can advertise for your fundraiser through your social media. That's your own platform. You can use the DMs to get orders or anything like that. You can also do this all through email. So the form that we have, you can edit it, and then you can send it out as through a big email order. So that's one way, and that's sort of like the most versatile way to do it for any type of event that you might be doing. The second way is is like the national, just over the internet, setting up a GoFundMe, which I will also show you how to set up a GoFundMe. So let me exit out of my screen. Okay, so this is the local order form. Has the person's name, information, address, in case you're doing it via email to your family or friends and they live a little far away. They can always provide your email and you can mail them their bracelet. It costs about $3.50 if you're using a bubble mailer through the mail, which is what we recommend, because otherwise we've heard things get lost in the mail because our tokens are just too thick to go through the standard mail slot. Like officially, there have been people who have been able to do that in the past, just putting their bracelets in a regular envelope. But because whenever we went to the post office, it was just too thick. We don't want to recommend that to anybody. But bubble mailers you can get a big pack on Amazon for a fairly decent price, and it comes in all sorts of colors that you can sort of play around with. And so that will be $3.50, and then to send it will be like 75 cents. So ends up being closer to like $4.25 to send it, and which may not be the easiest thing to do, but that is something that you can always build into your cost or how much people donate. So this is the local order form that we like to send out. And so for GoFundMe, we're going to go through the process of setting this up. And so, where do you live? I live in Seattle. What are we fundraising for? I'll say education and learning. And so then you can set your goal, raising your fundraising goal. You have your cover photo. It can be of, what the charity or the organization that you're fundraising for. And then, you can have the fundraising title, Save the Bees, I love bees. So, that's who I would be fundraising for. And then why are you fundraising? We have the sample description for a GoFundMe fundraiser where you can talk about your cause, talk about the goal amount and the deadline, and then talk about yourself as a MyIntent Maker, your story. I think this is a great jumping off point for that. And I'll talk about this sort of like donation tier guide in a little bit when we talk about pricing. But what I think is really great about our sample is that we also talk about what is my intent, so that people who are sharing your GoFundMe will also know what it is that you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing, and what they're getting out of it. So that will also be linked in that follow-up email. And so then you just download this, and then you put it into here, and you can adjust it in any way that you want. Then you click done. Something that I would say, I think this may not be the this may not be the true anymore, but back then, I have to enter a longer description. Excuse me for one moment. You should okay. The anticipation. Okay, great. So then you can share your GoFundMe and set it up how you want. It used to be that you could either donate straight to the charity, or you can say that you're raising it for yourself, and then that way you could withdraw the money to take out any money that you want to for your supplies and things like that. but it doesn't seem like that's how it is now. Yeah, it doesn't seem like that's how they do it now. So it's a lot easier. It's much more straightforward. So there we go. Then our campaign is live, and then you can see where you're sharing your fundraiser, who you're contacting, who's actually donating, and then you can always withdraw from here. So that's the GoFundMe. It will, so if you don't set up any withdrawals or anything like that, then the donations will get refunded. So be careful about that. Make sure that you set up all of your withdrawals and everything like that in time, so that you are able to get all of the donation money. So any questions so far about either one of the local sort of order submission form or GoFundMe? No? Okay, then I'm gonna keep going. So let's talk about pricing. There are three sort of big things that I always think about whenever we come into this. Easy is you can set up your pricing the same as ours, and we start our bracelets at $20. And so you know that $20, it will cover your supply cost, and you'll be able to donate a good chunk of it to the charity. So that's set. But one thing to consider is that, you know, depending on how you're fundraising, sometimes the audience or your community can't afford $20, and that's okay. And you just have to adjust it from there, because sometimes that's in a smaller setting, people they want to pay $15 instead of 20 or anything like that. And so you can also use like a sliding scale of like, oh, if anybody donates between $15 and $20, then they'll get a bracelet. Like that's probably the easiest way. Medium is to take into consideration your cost. So that requires just a little bit of math where you're making sure that you're breaking even with every token and bracelet that you stamp. And we'll talk more in depth about those costs, those individual costs, in just a little bit. But just taking into consideration like the amount of money that you've put into creating this as a fundraiser, just so that maybe it'll be worth it in the long run for you to do it year after year, you know, the longevity of this project. The hardest, but not exactly too hard, it's creating a donation tier system. Just like you saw in that sample for GoFundMe, we had a little bit of a tier system, and I'll explain how we get those pricings down. So just like I was just saying, taking into consideration, if you want to make back your money that you used to purchase the Maker Kit, so our classic 20 Maker Kit is $150, and so you'll need to at least charge $750 for each bracelet of the 20 that comes with the initial kit. Any greater amount, then that's the donation. So that's like the proceeds of it. For each additional refill pack, 50 pack, it is $198 for a 50 pack. And so each bracelet is just under $4. So the more that that initial cost is a little higher, but every refill pack that you get will be a little bit less. So then if somebody gives you $10, you'll be able to donate 6. So that's always an option as well. And we also have these large order discounts. So if you order the refill pack, you'll get 25% off with the family code at any time forever, which then brings down the pack to like $149, and then that brings each bracelet cost down to just under $3. So it takes a dollar off, which in the, like, if you're making hundreds, it's a lot of money that adds up. And then the donation tier system that that we had created was, sometimes, like I said, sometimes the community that we're fundraising in, they may not want or have the means to give $20 for a custom bracelet. So you can get an 80 decks of our question cards for, oh shoot, I forgot the number, but it ends up being $5 a pack. And so you can have this as a good way of just like, if somebody donated $10, then they can get a deck of question cards, and it's still really special because the question cards, it's something that you can play with your friends and your family, and it's just a good conversation starter. The second tier would be that if you have a word or a theme for your fundraiser, say hope or gratitude or anything like that, that can be like, if someone donated $15, because it ends up being, you know, if it's $7.50 to break even, then that's half of that 15. So you're donating just as much at, like, you're donating just as much as you would be to break even for that bracelet. If they donate $20 or more, that's whenever you can like engage in the conversation and create that custom bracelet. We like to do it at $20 just because our custom bracelets are $20. So that's what I used as a jumping off point. You can price it at however you want. And then if it's $25 or more, then they could get a pack of question cards and a custom bracelet, or a pack of question cards and a strength bracelet, or whatever the theme is. And then if they donate $30 or more, then they get the custom bracelet and question card. So it's, if you have, like, if you want to get the question cards, because they do end up being sort of economical at such a large pack in so many decks, then I feel like it always is a nice token of appreciation. But of course, you don't have to do any of it. You can just do your stamping, and no pressure to do anything. And so, does anybody have any questions so far? So again, things to consider whenever you're considering nothing. So like, all of your time, all of your supplies, all of your effort, it's all donation. So what are you donating for your cause? Is like, you're paying for all of the supplies, then, and you're giving it for free, then that's incredible. And then you don't have to worry about anything. Whatever anybody donates, then, and they get a bracelet, then that's great. The supply costs, like we were just talking about, making sure that you have that simple math down. And so then you would be donating your time and your effort, because if somebody ends up donating $20 and then they get that custom bracelet, then it is your time and your effort to engage in conversation and making sure that you're really finding that person's, helping someone find their word if they don't already have it. And then the supply and labor costs, we do have a lot of makers that end up having their own business, side business, or business, creating bracelets for profit. And so sometimes you want to, if you're really busy and you want to parcel out your time, making sure that you are only spending so much time on this fundraiser, then that's something to consider as well. So, but that's all just things to think about as you're forming this fundraiser and how you want to structure it. All things are good. And so then I wanted to share the stories from our maker community who have donated and raised money for their causes. And so this is Callie. She is in 7th grade, and she raised over $1,800 for her local soup kitchen. And she did this during COVID. And she wanted to give back to her community in more ways than one. So this was people who who was in her local community for her local community. So that was really, really sweet. Christine registered for a marathon through a charity. So, you have to raise a certain amount before you can actually run the marathon. So she actually raised over $9,000 for the Heart Association. She didn't have the conversation of finding somebody's word, but she chose their word that she thought that they embodied, that she could use during her race. And so then she sent it to them, and she sent them the bracelet, and she actually had a token with their word on it. She didn't have everybody's token that donated, but she had a handful of tokens that she had in her pocket while she was running the race, so that she can pull them out and see the words of all of the support of the people that had donated. So it was just a way to bring out community. And she was able to, like, during the race, people were posting photos of the MyIntent bracelets that she had sent them. And it was just like such a supportive and positive experience. So that's also available. Also, Callie, she did her fundraiser all through GoFundMe. So this was, if you see in the background of her photo, that's her GoFundMe page that she had set up. And then Sarah, she stamped over 200 bracelets for Rays of Hope, which is a organization to help with breast cancer research and supporting those in the community who have breast cancer. And so she did 200 bracelets. She did over 200 bracelets of hope, strength, balance, love, and it was in person. It was at an event that she was at. And she raised over $2,000. So I feel like it's a good way to raise quite a bit of money in one event, because there's always people coming and going and things like that. And we've also had a lot of schools do this with clubs, like Key Club has used it as their fundraiser. Other communities have done it to raise money for their, trip to a place, whatever they're going to. So there's a lot of different types of fundraisers out there, but these are the ones that, touched my heart. So any questions? That we sped through that. It was only 30 minutes. And I wanted to open up the floor if anybody wanted to share what they're thinking for the fundraiser, and if they have any questions for that. Okay. Stop sharing for a moment. Yeah, no questions, no ideas. Does anybody want to talk about what they're doing? No pressure. Okay, so I am going to stop the recording here then.